Hey mom, can I have a quarter? Hey, Fragorn here with another build guide for the Path of Exile 1 3.26 Zana's Petals League. So what I'm doing with this guy is a build I played before. It didn't take any nerfs really, except for one mastery got nerfed a little bit, so I'm not using it. And I'll show you that quick. It's the chance to treat monster elemental resistance values as inverted. At 25%, that was a pretty good value for our build, but at 15, I'm not sure it is. So I'm just testing it without it right now. So I have no penetration and no reduction to resistance whatsoever, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to start out by running a quick invitation that I have available, and we will see what happens. Alright, well that was challenging. Not. Just took a little longer without that inverting my elemental resistances. Other than that, it was still a piece of cake. So the build's still super tanky. The build still does great DPS. The build's incredibly cheap. So with no nerfs to anything other than that, it is still very viable for 326 if you want to play a strength stacker. So I'll get into the build quick for you here and show you what I'm doing. So it is a strength stacker. I have Brutus Lead Sprinkler, my main damage source. You get a huge amount of flat fire damage per 10 strength. Right now I'm at like 1100 strength, so not even very high. I haven't invested much into this character, just a handful of divines probably, and you can get him going for a handful of chaos. I have some good corruptions which made it a little more expensive, but you don't need those to play it. It's just good upgrades, and they're still cheap. Like I said, just a handful of divines in this character. So at 1000 strength, you're getting 400 to 700 flat fire, which is where the damage comes from, on a very nice mace that has great crit chance, good attack speed, and everything is just very nice with the weapon in general. Stack strength, it's a very good weapon. The way it works is you need Crown of Eyes with it now. You can't use the War Cry that used to give you increases to spell damage apply at strength, because your strength's inherent bonus, which is 1% increased melee physical damage per 5 strength, doesn't affect the fire from this weapon unless you use Crown of Eyes and Iron Will on the passive tree. So now it applies to spell damage as well. So that will make fire damage work. Before it was only physical. So you have to increase your spell damage, and the way to do that is with Crown of Eyes. Increases and reductions to spell damage also apply to attacks at 150% of their value, so you're actually getting more out of it. We're also using Iron Fortress, which is awesome. You don't even need to 6-link this chest, which is fantastic. You don't need a good corruption on it. Obviously an increased damage or a increased life or max resistances would all be nice little enchants to have on it, but you don't need them. But this makes it so you get nice block chance per strength. You don't get much spell block chance, but that's okay. You get nice strength, you get nice armor. You lose a little movement speed, which stinks. But the bottom lines are strength bonus instead grants 3% in critical per 10 strength. Before it was granting 2 with 1 per 5. So that's a huge 50% increased bonus from your damage. So you're getting a ton of increased damage from this, this, and this when you stack strength. I'm using blood magic because it's cheap. Tukahama's Fortress is super cheap. Gives you blood magic, gives you an extra totem, gives you a lot of damage. It's very nice. The reason I'm using totems is because of this boot. I want my wonderful volcanic fissure snaking to be in totems because it's just a easier playstyle for me. You would do way more damage if you lost these boots and attacked it yourself or used a different attack. I didn't build this character to play like that. I built him to be relaxing, casual, drop a few totems, walk around. I proc Smite to get the extra bonus of 12 to 220 added lightning damage as my little aura, which is nice. So I have a lot of lightning damage. I have some cold damage, still have some physical damage. Don't have much lightning here, but I get way more when I get my smite buff. So just lots of elemental damage. I link volcanic fissure snaking with multi-strike, elemental damage, and increased crit damage. I have very high chance to crit. The reason this is working is because I got Dawnstrider. Socketed slam gems are supported by Earthbreaker, which is a totem skill. It also gives me Ancestral Bond, which is the extra totem, but I can't do damage myself. However, that doesn't affect my Smite's aura from proccing when I hit people with Smite, which is just awesome. That's where I get extra flat lightning damage. So it's mostly flat fire, but there's a little flat everything in there too. Accuracy and attack speed are huge. Strength and resistances from these gloves are big. Magnate belt is fantastic. Ideally you'd want one with a corruption that has increased strength as the implicit, but I didn't find that one. I think I got this one super cheap, like for 20 chaos or something. It's got a good strength roll, got great resistance rolls, got nice flat flash charges gain, all very good stuff. The big ones are 10% chance to deal double damage when you have 200 strength and 5 to deal triple when you have 400. I have 1100, so that's always up. So nice chance to get extra double damage and triple damage with my attacks here. Those are big bonuses. You could probably get more damage out of a very good synthesized belt with like massive increased attributes and increased strength, things like that, but those are expensive. This is cheap. Just running you could use the Astramentus with all the attributes on it would be fine, but I like this one better. So it gives me the int I need, gives me the 26 to all attributes, so this is getting my dex and my int up nicely. 51 to strength, so between all attributes and strength I'm getting over 77 increased strength or flat strength from the Sammy, plus a little more increased spell damage, which gets buffed by 150 and turned into attack damage. Massive increase to armor, and the resistances. Astra Menace doesn't have any of that stuff. So I like to use a rare amulet with lots of strength and all attributes, etc. You can get a much better one. This is cheap. This is very, very cheap. Handful of chaos. I got some corrupted rings, which are also cheap. This one's got a little life regen and resistances. I needed fire and chaos, so I just looked for those with the corrupted implicit increased strength. I got 5% increased strength on this one. A little rarity, a little regen. None of that hurts me. Also cheap. This one I have flat strength, a little cold, a little chaos, nice increased strength roll, and increased intelligence. Very good. So that's the gear. Pretty cakey stuff. And the boots are the key. So key parts of this build are Dawnstrider, Crown of Eyes, and Brutus. The other stuff, Iron Fortress, Magnate, Tukamas are good options, but you don't need them to get them going. You just need these three pieces to really get it going. You can level with Brutus's before you become Crown of Eyes or Dawnstrider, you just start stacking strength, but you don't get any increased fire damage because you're not getting it from Crown of Eyes and Iron Will like you would afterwards, so your strength isn't giving you any increased damage. You just have to take some nodes like this, right here. Increase damage with fire skills. You know, just a handful of these will really buff your damage, so you could level with an attack skill and just take a few of these. You would definitely want to get this, so then you can level without the totems and just run Fisher snaking or any other attack basically that you want. It's all going to do a lot of fire damage. Pretty easy peasy stuff. Tree wise, since we're here, I think the best way to level this character is with Righteous Fire. Easy initial tree for Righteous Fire. Your first handful of points, you get your elemental resistances up, get your life regen up, get your max fire resist up a lot, get your dex and intellect, which you'll need, up, regen, flat life, more strength is nice, more max resistances, more max fire, more fire resistance, burning damage over time multiplier, life regen, all good, fire damage, life regen, all good. And then the key is getting your fire resistance overcapped, which gives you 1 life regen per uncapped fire resistance. So if you have 80 fire resistance, 75, well, at this point you'd have 2, 4, 6. So it'd be 81 would be your cap. So if you have, say, 100 fire resistance, you'd get 19 life regen per second. With all the other regens, you easily have enough regen and fire resistance to run Righteous Fire. Pox has fantastic build guides on leveling Righteous Fire. I'm just showing you a basic version. I would look at his stuff if you want to actually use it correctly. This is just a little cheap starting nothing version that I know will get the job done. I know you'll be able to run Righteous Fire if you have these points allocated and you have a little bit of overcapped fire resistance on your gear. You use a couple of fire ruby rings, you get a bunch of fire resistance, you look forward on something else, right away you're at 100 some fire resist, piece of cake. Even at like level 15, 20, I think you can start using Righteous Fire at 16, so easy peasy. From there on out, you just add life to get more damage from your Righteous Fire. You add more flat fire damage where you can pick it up. So any flat damage also works. So stuff like this, when you're stacking endurance charges, you get 56 from your base 7 increased damage. Very nice. It all buffs your Righteous Fire. So you can go completely Righteous Fire until you get the handful of chaos you need to get the Crown of Eyes, the Brewslet Sprinkler, and the Dawnstrider boots. And they're not going to be expensive. You get all 3 of those real cheap day 1. So cake leveling for the build. What else do I do with this? So obviously I'm stacking as much strength as I can on jewels and then other beneficial stats. Stacking all my endurance charges. Stacking strength. I'm crit, so I'm stacking crit. Little extra armor. More strength on jewels. Other flat bonuses. Strength's the big one, but any of that stuff is nice. More endurance charges, more melee crit, just a little bit of bonus from my totems to keep them alive. You can recast them real easy, but I prefer this. I don't want them to die so easily. I'm using a cluster jewel with base and staff attacks because I want the weight advantage notable. This is a cheap, crummy cluster jewel. Ideally, you'd want flat strength on it. That would be very strong. But weight advantage is awesome. Gives you 20 strength. Also gives you a more double damage chance. I'm using a crit jewel with magnifier and pressure points. Pressure points is awesome. Gives you more crit chance and more double damage chance. So you have really a lot of double damage and that tiny bit of triple damage from your belt. Just more strength and resistances I needed, and attack speed, and more damage with one-handed weapons. A little more area of effect and crit multi. Must have with this build is Sleepless Sentries on a Totem medium cluster. You get your onslaught whenever you cast a totem for 4 seconds. Very good. Huge damage boost. More strength, crit multi with fire skills, attack speed, more resistances. Very nice. Same stuff here, more strength. All of this stuff is cheap relatively, and I mean, I'm talking like 15-20 chaos per jewel, so these are stuff you add later. More endurance charges, more power charges, more crit and crit multi with maces. All my damage with maces can chill. And oh yeah, since you're using the Iron Fortress, you get this wonderful life mastery. It's very good. So that's the build. I get free blood magic from Tukahama, so I don't have to allocate that, but all my skills cost life. I have tons of regen. Baseline, I'm sitting at 812. That doesn't account for getting hit by some physical damage and getting way more life regen. This will go up to 1500, 2000, like nothing if you take a bunch of hits. So that's really cool. And that's the tree. So it's very simple. You saw the gear, you saw the tree. What else matters in this little setup? You saw me fight the Maven, Crucible, 10-way. That was a piece of cake. Flasks. Just more armor mostly. More crit chance. Get rid of blood. A little extra chaos resist. All cheap. I didn't do anything special with any of this. As I said, this is a very strong and sturdy budget build that just gets the job done for what you need. Possible upgrades I should talk about. So you can really up the power of this build if you want to spend a little money. What you do is you move your cluster jewel up here. So you get as many points as you can get, and then we're going to use something called split personalities. So it's a cool jewel. So it has 25% increased effect per active for allocated passive in between it and your class's starting location. 2 random modifiers. So you're either going to want flat strength or flat and then flat accuracy or armor. Both are good for the build. Accuracy is obviously more damage and armor is more defensive. So when you have those, they're kind of expensive. They'll cost you a few divines each. You put them up here, you're going to get tons and tons and tons of extra strength for all this travel to get up there to get those. So if you get 2 of them, you'll probably get another 110, 15 flat strength, which is massive damage. Another thing to look for is a timeless jewel. I think it's Lethal Pride is the one that has all this good strength rolls. You can find one that goes here and say a lot of these rolls could give you increased strength, and it's 5% increased strength when you have a timeless jewel in here, so you could hit a bunch of them right through here. Theoretically, you could get 5% increased strength along with the endurance charge. You get it along with Golem's Blood. You get it along with Bravery. I think you could get it along with Master of the Arena. The more of them you get, the more expensive they are, but getting one with 3 is not too expensive. It usually costs you a couple divines, but say you get 3, you get 15% more increased strength along with 2 split personality jewels. Then you'll go from 1100 strength up to maybe 1400, just like that. Huge increase in damage because it's adding increased damage from the Crown of Eyes Iron Will combination. It's adding every 100 extra strength you add is adding 40 to 70 flat fire damage, which is massive. So you're going to start hitting harder with more increases. The strength all adds to your health pool. You'll probably bump up to 6,000 health, and it's extremely powerful, but a little expensive. I didn't make the investments on that with this character because he was a cheap character, and still does a lot of stuff for me. No problems getting your Void Stones done with this guy. No problems doing hard content because he's a juggernaut. I don't kill Ubers and stuff with him, but if I invested in all those split personalities and timeless jewels, then I would start killing Ubers with him if I wanted to. You would never get into the 100 million damage POBs that you get with some of the big DPS builds, but you probably really easily get into that 20, 20-ish, 30 million, somewhere in that neighborhood build. Um, Especially if you dropped the totems and became a self-attacker, you could really bust it up higher than Bone Shadow or something like that would do a lot of damage, especially if you converted to Replica Alberon's Warpath and switched all your damage to Chaos. There's a lot of stuff you could do to really boost your damage if you wanted to invest in this character. But for me, he was a cheap starter that gets everything done without any stress, hardly ever dying, and just a great way to play the characters. So I highly recommend this and my other Jug Trapper using Consuming Darks. Both of these League starters will make you completely satisfied. You won't regret choosing either one of them. They will carry you a long way on a tiny budget. One of the things I find with some of these characters that I make on Juggernaut that are so budget, like the Trapper with Consuming Darks, or this Bruce's Let Sprinkler Dawn Walker, Dawnstrider, Totem, Volcanic Fisher build, is when I switch to a more expensive build, like I'm going to play a Blaster or somebody else, I just feel so weak compared to my cheap League starter, even if I have a guy that I've invested 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 divines in. Really, until you start getting up into that, I'm buying a Mage Blood, I'm buying a Headhunter, I'm buying all this power from gear that with the currency you've earned on this character or another cheap League starter, you just feel squishy and crummy. So until you maybe get 100 divines invested in a character, this 2-3 divine guy just feels better. So it really sucks when you invested 30 in a guy and it feels crummier than a guy you invested 2 in. So these are great League starters. You can push. This one is better than my other build with Consuming Dark Dagger Traps, because you can push this DPS a lot higher. Scaling strength, theoretically you could go crazy with scaling strength and get yourself up to 2k strength, 2.4k strength, with synthesized rings and all kinds of expensive gear, and really push your DPS up there in a nice comfortable 25, 30 million, 35 million DPS skills, and really hit hard content, really smoke through maps, just blast through maps. I should show you guys what this guy's like in a map quick, since I've got something here. What's this? Oh, I hate that map more than anything. What do I got here? I'll just do a white tier 16. Lashingwood's a nice one. So this is just white tier 16. My orders are up. Everything's good. I'll just show you what his map clear speed is like. You can see when I drop a totem, I instantly get onslaught, so I'm moving faster. It's just my smite buff rolling, my endurance charge is rolling, or my power charge is rolling. It's just, you don't even target. I mean, Smite's linked with Ancestral, so I don't have to target anything with that. Ancestral, or whatever, the War Chief of Snaking from the Dawnstrider just targets everything. Here's a boss. Let's see what he can do. Your boss DPS is nothing to brag about, but he's going down. I had some extra ones from the Maven, so you can see, even with the little, this is a white map, but I had 2 or 3 bosses there, and didn't even realize I was fighting them because I'm so tanky. I don't care about that sort of stuff. One thing you have to worry about sometimes is you don't get hit when you're just mapping easy content like this, so you have to use your Enduring Cry to keep your endurance charges up, or they'll just fall off because you're killing everything from one screen with this Volcanic Fisher. So he's not the world's fastest map blaster, but you know, for the amount of gear I spend, it's just easy power. I'm still leveling a bunch of gems, as you can see. So I'll link a path to building in the description, and You can't go wrong with this build in 326. It's fantastic for Legion farming because your fishers go all over the place. It's fantastic for blight farming because your fishers will just travel along the blight paths and kill everything. It's fantastic for abyss farming. Fantastic for breach. I don't like it for expedition because you get them stupid monsters that block attacks a lot. I mean, it's not like I can't do them, but I like the other ones better. Fantastic for Harbinger, which is always my league starter, set up for my Atlas. Yeah, generally my Atlas starters focuses on Harbinger and Harvest. So such good free currency from these guys. Look at this. This is just an Eater of Worlds, very basic Eater. Extra Scarabs, lots of strong boxes, lots of shrines, lots of Harbinger, lots of Harvest. So it's cake. The reason I do Harbinger on League Start, I wouldn't put the Harvest stuff on here right away. I'd focus on Harbinger first. Is because of the Horizon Orbs. The more Horizon Orbs you get, the faster you finish your Atlas. I love it way better than doing Kirak Missions. I just think, I find a level 4 map that I haven't completed yet. Well, I just grab one that I have and hit it with a couple of Horizon Orbs. It becomes the map I haven't completed. I finish it. I move on. I finish all my Atlas tiers super fast and easy. It's just a great way to get your Atlas done. Is Harbinger. And on the way, I invariably find 3 or 4 fracturing shards which sell for a ton of money, so that's my currency. Then I add in Harvest, which is also great. You always can sell Life Force. It never doesn't sell. Quick throw in a little extra Eater of Worlds, farm those invitations, sell them. So get a lot of Scarabs, sell them. Whatever junk comes in the strong box, you might get lucky. Find an expensive div card or something, sell that. Sell your Life Force, sell your fracturing shards from Harbinger. You'll have, by the time you're hitting red maps, you'll have enough chaos to easily buy all this gear for this character and roll into red maps nice and strong with around 800, 900 strength. Good crit chance, good defenses, tons of power charge, or tons of endurance charges, tons of power charges, and you'll be strong and happy. So that's how I build my first Atlas pretty much every time. Like I said, none of the new Zana Pedal League stuff nerfs anything in this build really, except for losing this mastery, which kind of stinks. I did notice that on boss fights they weren't going down as fast because bosses generally have a little higher fire resistance. I could figure out how to get more exposure into the build, or instead of using Assassin's Mark, maybe it's better to use Flammability Curse. Anyway, it's things you guys can play with. It gets it done even without any penetration. So if you find a mob, my advice is when you're running along in a pack and you get one of those packs that have fire and ignite resistance and it's a pain in the butt to kill it, just skip it. Just wasting time on hard to kill mobs in this game is dumb. You think to yourself, oh, this guy could be the one that drops the mirror or the divine orb. He's gonna drop some junky rares and a alchemy. That's pretty much universal. The way you actually acquire currency is clearing as much stuff as you can as fast as possible. So if you see the slow pack that's not dying, do not wait around in circles to kill him. Just move on to the next pack, open the next map, get the next collection of loot. That is the fastest and best way to get your currency up in this game. Find a good strategy with Scarabs that you like. Get the All Flames coming back. Find one that's easy for your character to do. Harbingers are fantastic because you can put the Harbinger Scarabs in even in low maps, yellow maps, white maps, and really add Harbingers to your map. With a lot of quant and a lot of rarity in the map, you have really nice chance to get fracturing shards even in low maps. So you can make a ton of money on very easy content with Harbingers. I just love them. So yeah, you'll find a strategy that you can do and handle and make currency fast to do whatever you want to do, whether it's upgrade this guy to the moon or make your other build. So if you like this content, Please hit the like and subscribe down below. And thanks for watching.